part of Temple Emanuel has been just fantastic.
The reason I picked Temple Emanuel because it was warm and friendly.
This is an indescribable place.
It was love at first listen.
A lot of people are looking to start all over again, and there are people here within the Temple community who reach out and welcome newcomers.
You just never know when you show up here what long-term seeds are going to be planted for meaningful relationships.
I entered a stranger, and I walked out feeling so welcomed and part of a community.
Reconnected my creativity with my Judaism.
Becoming a member at Temple Emanuel was one of the best decisions of my life.
Hi, and welcome to this evening's program of Special Remembrances of Temple Emanuel. This year we're celebrating our 65th anniversary, and tonight we're going to feature the stories of members of our congregation sharing special experiences of their time here at Temple. Since our very beginning, our people have been defined by our stories, from creation through redemption, through our wanderings all across this globe. We have cherished these stories of our lives and passed them on to our children. This evening's program stands as a testament to this congregation, its members, and the place that it has held in our lives. We all have stories of Temple Emanuel. We have selected tonight just a few, some of the most endearing, the most tender, the most meaningful of the stories of our congregation. On behalf of all of us, we want to thank the participants who so willingly shared of their lives, and most especially to Bob and Susan Weisel, who've chaired this event and shepherded through all the way to your home this evening. Welcome, enjoy.
Hi, I'm Leanna Scheintel Bryant, and I've been fortunate to grow up at Temple Emanuel. My first memory here was attending the preschool led by Suzanne Gellens. I then went on to enjoy the religious school, my bat mitzvah, and confirmation. My confirmation was the first confirmation class led by Rabbi Andy Basov. And when it was time for me to be married, Rabbi Brenner Glickman got to lead our wedding. It was such a special day.
Hold on to the passion and affection for each other we feel today. Our commitment to each other seals this document.
Got it. Mazel tov!
Rabbi Glickman also led the baby namings for my son Woody and my daughter Rose. It was then our children's turn to walk into my footsteps. They got to walk through the doors of the Temple Emanuel Early Learning Center, the same preschool that I had attended. And now they get to enjoy the religious school. But my most favorite memory at Temple Emanuel was getting to go through it all with my family. Both sets of my grandparents were members here. My parents, Kim and John Scheintel, my husband and my children, Woody and Rose Bryant, my sister Mara, her husband Matt, and their 3 kids. My cousin Evie Chantal teaches at the religious school. My aunt and uncle, Liz and Neil Claver, are also members of the temple. And thanks to my mom's genealogical passion, we even discovered that we have DNA matches with some temple members. I'm so grateful for my family and for my temple family.
Hi, my name is Joan Bloom, and I have been a member of Temple Emanuel for 9 years now. It has been a marvelous experience for me in spiritual situations and relationships of meeting people. One of my best memories was in the Temple Emanuel kitchen before Yom Kippur break fast. We were about 15 men and women from sisterhood and brotherhood preparing beautiful trays of food for the congregation to participate in break fast. I made a new friend while we were folding lox to put on the platters. This woman and I bonded, and we became very good friends. So that was a wonderful happening at the temple. I am blessed to be a member of Temple Emanuel. I cherish my time here, and I am a very lucky person.
I came to Sarasota in 2005 and knew no one. So I thought a good way to learn to know people is to join a congregation. So after shul shopping, I decided Emanuel was the place for me. My first encounter was coming to the library, meeting Renee Gold, who immediately summoned me and became friends and decided that I should be in charge of the financial crisis committee. So since then, I've been involved with Temple, and I've been honored recently to be co-chair of the 2022 gala honoring our wonderful Rabbi Elaine Rose Glickman and celebrating our 65th anniversary. My favorite moment is in June of 2014, I was honored by our congregation for being the temple president from 2010 to 2014. And I received this wonderful trophy plaque, which I have in my office, and I cherish it to this day. Thank you very much, and may Temple Emanuel continue to be wonderful for another 65 years.
Hal and I wanted to check out Temple Emanuel to see how friendly it was. We knew Herb and Ellen Lank, who are also from Cincinnati, so we told them we were going to pretend that we didn't know them, to which the Lanks agreed. We were greeted in the lobby by a very friendly woman who asked where we were from. We said Cincinnati. She said, "Oh, do you know the Lanks?" I said, "Well, we've heard about them. We kind of know who they are." And she said, "Well, they're sitting right down there. Go sit with them." And so we did. We sat next to Herb and Ellen, and Herb said, I thought we were going to pretend we didn't know you." I said, "Well, the jig is up. The woman told us we had to sit with you." Yes, we found the temple was very friendly. Andy Bossoff was rabbi when we joined. He had a musical background. One result was a very funny operetta based on the story of Jonah, sung by our choir every Yom Kippur afternoon. When Rabbi Bossoff left, instead of choosing a rabbi right away, Rabbi Howard Simon, who had recently retired and moved to Sarasota, offered to be an interim rabbi and help us look for just the right person as a new rabbi for our temple. I became very active in Sisterhood, which was run by a younger woman who kept a very tight rein on who would be on the Sisterhood board. She also took charge of the gift shop and kept the books for the gift shop as well. She refused to let the Sisterhood board know how much money was in the treasury, and she had a gambling problem. So we were really quite concerned. So a group of us former presidents went to Rabbi Simon for support, as we really needed to know what was going on, and felt that Sisterhood did need a new president and a separate gift shop chair and a separate treasurer. Rabbi Simon agreed to attend our board meeting. When the president refused to allow the board to elect new officers, Rabbi Simon made a few choice comments. A new board was elected with a new president. Sisterhood and the gift shop have been flourishing ever since. When Rabbi Glickman came to Sarasota to be our rabbi, he and I spoke about the need to bring the older congregants and the younger families together. Families had Shabbat dinner in the religious school wing, away from the older members of the congregation who did not like to hear little footsteps running around while they were having dinner. The Glickman family was in the same boat as many. No grandparents in town to take the kids on outings, to be there for a school pickup, etc. The Mishpacha project was started. We matched over a dozen families with older members. From then on, everyone had Shabbat dinners together in Sudakov Hall.
The rabbis initiated an intervention regarding my husband, who has dementia. I didn't even realize that we had a problem, but we did need their help. Their efforts proved that our lives changed for the better permanently, and so tied me to the temple just from that. Then, going along, being a senior and living alone during COVID meant that I got phone calls regularly and texts, both from committees and individuals. And one woman has been calling me every week for the last 14 months. And the ironic thing is, we've never met in person. We've become wonderful friends on the phone, and our plan is one day in the near future to be able to meet and go to lunch or something together. I didn't really realize that many people even knew who I was. I just thought I was just on the outskirts all the time. And I didn't like to bother anyone. I just liked coming to services. But after being diagnosed with lymphoma, a couple that I had met at services committed to help me. They took me to all my medical appointments, they bought all my food for me, and they checked in with me every night to make sure I was okay. And they're now, basically, they're a part of my family now. We have gotten that close.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate Temple Emanuel on 65 wonderful years, and all of us who have attended so many of the services over the years have been so grateful for everything that the temple has provided through its rabbis and everyone else who's helped us. I'd like to talk about an event that we have been doing for the last 7 years, which I think is quite memorable. It is our tribute to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. And the way it all began about 7 years ago was when I was appointed the events chair of the Brotherhood of the Temple. And I realized that there was a date in January on a Sunday, a breakfast, which we traditionally as a Brotherhood have provided for folks who want to have breakfast with us and perhaps some entertainment or a speaker. I realized that on that occasion, it was the day before the holiday to Dr. King, and which is a federal holiday on Monday. So I thought, why don't I get some entertainment and some help? And lo and behold, I was able to secure the services of the West Coast Black Theater Troupe.
However difficult the moment, however dark the hour, we shall overcome, because mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Black and white together, black and white together, black and white together someday.
It was really terrific. We thought if we could get 60, maybe 70 people to attend. Lo and behold, at $10 a head, because breakfast was included, 300 people show up. Who knew? We ran out of chairs. We ran out of food. We had people scrounging up chairs from the school here at the temple. And the day was a glorious one, to be sure. Since then, with the Sisterhood and the Social Action Committee, we have co-sponsored the event every year with help from the Jewish Federation. It's been wonderful. It's been a trend that I hope will be able to continue for many years to come. We've also been able to establish some pretty good relationships with the community here as a result of this great event. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Tess Konchik, and I'm so pleased to be part of this project today. About 2008, I walked through the doors of Temple Emanuel, and as a lapsed Catholic, I had always had an affinity toward Judaism. And as relatively new to the city of Sarasota, I came to Temple Emanuel. When the services ended, Linda Jaffe came up to me, introduced herself, and said, welcome to Temple Emanuel. Would you like to have coffee? Would you like to learn more about the temple? And that was the first time I've ever been to a religious institution or of any sort where they really welcomed you individually and came up to you and made you feel comfortable. My husband and I, Don Malowski, we eventually joined the temple a few years later. However, I felt like something was missing. While I loved Rabbi Glickman, I loved the congregation, I loved coming to services, something was amiss for me, and that was because I was not a Jew. So I decided that it was time for me to convert, and what better place to convert than at Temple Emanuel, where I felt so at home. I was lucky to have every Sunday for a few months, I had time with Rabbi Glickman, and we would study the Torah, the rituals, the traditions, and prayers. And I had that time alone. In fact, I still have the notes from those sessions, and I look back at them from time to time. So on a beautiful Sunday morning, me and a couple of other friends who were converting, and my family, several of whom came down from New York, we went to the beach and into the Gulf of Mexico, which was our mikvah, and we held hands, and Rabbi bestowed the blessing of Judaism conversion on me, and it was one of the most joyous days of my life. And Rabbi was so excited that he could perform this service for me. So since then, I can say that not only have I found a home, I walked into this temple as a stranger, and then as a visitor, and then as a member, and now I'm proudly embraced here as a Jew.
My name is Howard Kilman, and I've been a member of Temple Emanuel going on 9 years now. And I retired 6 years ago, and pre-retirement, I had done a lot of global travel and presentations and talks to hundreds, if in a couple times thousands of people. But the moment I really remember about Temple Emanuel is after I retired, I did 2 years of Hebrew study, working with the Adult Education Committee, program they offered, as well as 1 year of Torah study with Rabbi Shefrin. And I did my 2 years ago now, I did my bar mitzvah. And I was never so nervous doing that speech and chanting out of the Torah than I was in my whole life. So that's a memory that will stick with me forever.
Hello, I'm Phyllis Dreyfuss, and I want to share a story with you that I wouldn't normally share with anyone else. It's sort of spiritual, and I don't share that. But if you don't tell anybody, I'm going to say it. One evening 2 years ago at our last Shabbat Alive, I was lucky enough to be seated on the bima, and I was able to look over as they were doing all of the Debbie Friedman songs, which I love anyway. As I sat on the bima and I looked out, as the words evolved and the music continued, I saw a bubble appear above the entire congregation. People were holding hands. They had their heads on others' shoulders. They were quiet. Some were crying very quietly. We're sitting just like this. And I realized it was a magic spiritual moment. That's all I can say, and I normally would not say something like it. When I got up, the choir had seen me sitting there, and they thanked me for just being and watching. And with tears in my eyes, I remember, I think it was Rabbi Glickman that was up there, I said, how can they thank me or any of us? I said, I thank them for one of the most magic moments in my entire life. That's what life is. The Temple Emanuel sometimes, and I'm happy to share it.
The holidays were coming up, and so I thought, well, I'll get tickets to Temple Emanuel, and I understand there's a new rabbi. So I said to myself, I'm going to go introduce myself to this new rabbi. I didn't know much about him except what I read. And I said, because I also felt sad my aunt and uncle weren't here. It was more part of my life, Temple Emanuel, because I knew what they gave, and I'd been there from 1988 to, I think, 2000, whatever it was, we went to sign it. It wasn't very long. So I decided to go visit. So I met Rabbi Glickman, and I said, I'd like 2 tickets for the 2 holidays. And I said, only one, thank you, for both holidays. And he said, aren't you a member? I said, no, I used to be. And he said, why aren't you now? I said, oh, it's a long story. So I tried to tell him the story. He said, well, you know what? I have a proposition for you. And I looked at him and I said, so soon? That was my answer, so soon. And he started laughing. And he said, will you listen? And I said, of course, I always listen to propositions. And so, anyway, so he said, I'll make you a proposition. Here's my proposition. The cost of 2 tickets for the holiday is what I'll have you for your membership. If you would join for 1 year, and would you join? And that's the same cost if you would join again. He said, and maybe you'll like it better this time. And I said, well, maybe I will. And he said, I'll tell you what, if you don't like it after a year, I won't bother you. And I said, so he said, will you take the proposition? So I went, okay, I think I'll take that proposition. And he was really happy and got all the information. And he said, I hope you have a wonderful time here. And I said, I hope I have a wonderful time meeting you, and I certainly will work on that. And thanks for the proposition. And that's how I rejoined in the year 1 week after he came here.
Hi, I'm Karen Androphy. My husband Gary and I joined Temple Emanuel when we moved to Sarasota 4 years ago. We chose the temple because of its roots in the community. The temple will always have a special place in my heart. The day we joined is memorable. We joined Temple Emanuel in the morning, and my mother died suddenly in the evening. I knew I would contact our former congregation to share the news, but I wasn't sure if I should call Temple Emanuel. After all, I was new. I did call the temple to share my sad news and then headed to the airport to fly to Washington, D.C. for my mother's funeral. Just before boarding, I received a call from Rabbi Shefrin, sharing his condolences and asking me if he could help guide me navigate through the next few days and extend his strength and support. I knew I had chosen the right temple. Rabbi Glickman and Rabbi Shefrin have been a source of strength, comfort, and guidance to me, and above all, they've been my friend. This has made it so special for my husband and I to be members of the Temple Emanuel family. It is the right place for us, very special, and it will be part of my heart forever.
We just walked in and felt so warm and welcome, and it was just a very spiritual experience for us, and we've never regretted 1 second of it.
Being a member of Temple Emanu-El is like having a pretty large extended family. It's the most egalitarian, unpretentious temple that I've ever belonged to.
And we appreciate the rabbis so much. They keep us on track. They keep us informed. We've met so many wonderful friends. Your friends become your family as you get older, and as our children are far away. So it's home for us, and we really do appreciate it and love Temple Emanuel.
What stands out most to me is that the temple is a family. This was brought home to me so starkly 3 years ago when my beloved grandson, Andrew, died at 17. The funeral was in Boston, but I came home because I wanted the Shiva here in our home. And to my surprise, delight, and I was so very moved, there were 63 people in our home to comfort Jean and me. But this is not an isolated incident. Shortly on the heels of that, we had a phenomenally difficult hurricane. The temple mobilized like never before. People checked on people. People had people in their homes. We had a couple in our home with 3 cats. And then this year, we all know what happened. There was the pandemic, and a mobilization such as never before overtook the temple. People called people. There were task forces to help us get vaccinated. There was a financial task force if you needed financial assistance. This is an incredible temple. It's our family away from home. Jean and I love it dearly. Yom Huledet Sameach, Temple Emanu-El.
Love the friendship. The whole camaraderie spirit, and I don't think you could describe the words, because it's beyond describing the words. I mean, growing up in my situation, this temple is something unusual. It's a temple of love, friendship, and we are fortunate to have such beautiful temple of friends, rabbis, friends. Can't say any more words of praise.
Last year, the temple adopted a new logo with the catchphrase, "You belong here." Well, that's how Dick and I felt when back in 2008, when we first arrived in Sarasota and attended Mitzvah Day that was held here on campus after having seen an ad in the paper. We drove over, and the first person that greeted us was a young man in shorts wearing a T-shirt. He introduced himself as Rabbi Brenner Glickman. Wow, we were so surprised. A T-shirt, shorts, a rabbi? We also met Rabbi Elaine that afternoon and were shown around. There were older people there as well as young families. We were made to feel so welcome that we decided to join immediately. And we did. We started attending Shabbat services and joined several committees. The second event occurred in 2009. Dick, my husband, wanted to take bar mitzvah class, led by the late Morty Bick. I loved that man. Dick got ill and asked me to attend class in his place, which I did since I had never had a bat mitzvah. Although the class started with 6 people, we ended up with 3, and in May, I celebrated my bat mitzvah. What a wonderful weekend it was, and I was glad that my kids and my temple family were able to celebrate with me. I enjoyed the bat mitzvah class so much that I continued my Jewish studies with other TEE adults under Nordy's tutelage. We studied Torah on Sunday mornings. We learned grammar and read short stories in Hebrew, like The Little Red Hen. That class continued for a few years, and I was disappointed when it ended. The third thing that I'd like to talk about is when I was honored by Temple Emanu-El Sisterhood at their annual honors luncheon in 2014. I was proud to have been in the company of such honorees as Rabbi Elaine, Alice Kottman, Kim Scheintel, and Judy Stern, to name a few. So many friends and family attended. I was overwhelmed and cherished my memories through this album that Kim Scheintel put together for me. It was overwhelming. It was overwhelming to read all the nice things that everyone said about me. And then at the end, there are pictures of the people that attended the luncheon that day.
In 2009, when Ethel and I became members of the temple, we joined the membership committee. I thought it would be a good idea to have a Veterans Day celebration. So on the Shabbat closest to Veterans Day, we celebrated Veterans Shabbat and have been doing it ever since. We decorate the pews, set aside seats for the veterans who receive special invitations and invite special guests. Rabbi Elaine has helped us to obtain a proclamation from the city of Sarasota, each year designated as a special day. It's good to see some of our veterans even wearing the uniforms as they received a special blessing from our rabbi, gathering together for a picture and enjoying an oneg in their honor.
I am Fran, Shapiro, Darby. This is my great-granddaughter, Sophia, who's going to be 6 in October, and this is her brother, my great-grandson, George, who'll be 2 in September. I've been here for 41 years at this temple. I have bar mitzvah 2 of my sons here. The rabbis are wonderful. My grandchildren were named in Hebrew, and my great-grandchildren were named in Hebrew. The rabbis are fantastic. During the episode with Sophie being sick, Rabbi Glickman and Rabbi Shefrin were wonderful to me. And also when I lost my son this past last year, they were wonderful to me. And the membership committee is wonderful. I met friends here on our trip to Israel. We had a fantastic time. Everybody's wonderful.
Hi, I'm Joni Steinberg, and I am just so pleased to be a member of Temple Emanu-El. I've had many special moments here and special memories in interactions with a whole range of different people and experiences, but I'd like to share in particular 3 with you today. A few years ago, Rabbi Glickman connected me with nonagenarian Ursula Schiff. At the time, she and I got together in person once or twice, and then suddenly we were under COVID restriction. Since then, we've stayed in touch with each other regularly. We laugh together, we tell stories, and we've become important people in each other's lives. As the veil of COVID restrictions is being lifted, we have since started getting together again, so far with masks, but we look forward to without, outdoors and then indoors, and continuing to be in each other's lives. The second story I'd like to share with you starts 30 years ago, actually. I moved here in 1990 with young sons, and I was looking to make connections with a whole range of new friends and people, and I joined Temple Emanu-El at that time, and I began bringing my then 2-year-old son, Jonathan Hayes, to the Mommy and Me program here. It was very different than now in that we were given a room, and we could show up. It was not facilitated, but we were given a room where our kids could play and the moms could congregate and get to know each other. And out of that experience, for me, came a friendship with someone with whom I'm still very good friends. We're probably one of each other's very closest friends, and our now 32 or 3-year-old sons are still in touch and see each other periodically. Fast forward almost 30 years, I rejoined Temple Emanu-El in 2018. And as Christine Elliott led me to a whole set of different potential experiences, ways to grow roots here at Temple Emanu-El, one of the things I decided to participate in was the Parent in Me program that had started. It felt a little awkward because I was now attending with my 1-year-old grandmother. No, I was the grandmother, sorry, as a grandmother of a 1-year-old daughter, Harper. And when I walked in the first day, I think my fears were allayed in that I was greeted enthusiastically by Maura Evie, as well as Grandma Kim Scheintel with her sweet granddaughter, Rose. Her then 2-year-old Rose walked over to my 1-year-old granddaughter and handed her a toy. And it was just such a sweet example of sharing. During the year, of course, Mom showed up, sometimes Dad showed up, and sometimes other grandparents showed up. But I know sometime Rose and Harper's path will cross again, and Kim and I will always look at each other and say they first met here at Temple Emanu-El. There's so many other good things that have happened to me here. I greatly appreciate the leadership of Rabbi Glickman, of Rabbi Shefrin, and everything that Rabbi Elaine does to support the Jewish experience here and the community. I appreciate the leadership of our presidents, of our executive director, and I'm so glad to be here as a member.
My name is Paul Hamburg, and I'm a fairly recent member of Temple Emanuel. I've been here about 3.5 years together with my wife, Rabbi Mimi Weisel, and I have found that the temple exemplifies its name, Emanu-El, that we together are with God, and it's one of the most comforting, caring, and supportive congregations that I have ever seen. It is great to be a member here.
My son is Rabbi Michael Shefrin, so we ended up in this wonderful place because of his wonderful family. I have many memories of Temple Emanuel, but the thing that is so important to me is the sense of community and caring and comfort and warmth that this community embraces. We came here, I was the rabbi's mom. That could have been a whole role, but I have been embraced, accepted, and found tremendous friendship because of me and not because of my son and his wonderful family. I get wonderful comments about how much they are appreciated and valued, and that makes me kvel. But personally, the reason I'm here is because of how this community lives up to the value of v'ahavta re'echa kamocha, and you should love your fellow as yourself. And we experience that every time we're here, from someone saving a seat to can we help you with the wheelchair, how are you doing, what do you need, how have you been? It's just phenomenal.
For me, this was important because it was my reconnection with becoming an active Jewish congregant. Not that I ever stopped being Jewish, for sure, but I was not a member of a temple for many, many years, and it just wasn't part of my life. I was a single mother for many years. It wasn't there for me. So when I joined Temple and started coming to services, I just felt, I kind of felt like I'd come home to that same kind of Reformed congregation that I had grown up with many, many years ago. Rabbi Glickman introduced me to my life partner, Dr. Lowell Lackritz, who was also a member here at Temple. He was a matchmaker. Who would have thought? So he was a widower. I was twice divorced. He thought Lowell was older than me, but he thought there was something, that might click there. So he introduced me to Lowell, and we dated for a few years, and now we are committed life partners. And it's a blessing I never could have imagined when I joined Temple Emanuel. Another reason that it resonates so strongly with me is that they gave me the opportunity to teach dance here at Temple. So I teach fluid dance, Miriam's well. I have been teaching it on Zoom recently, but I taught it in person for many years here. And we've really developed a dance tribe, a dance community. And more recently, we've taken on some Jewish themes, although not everyone who participates is Jewish. Why was this important to me? It was important because it gave me the opportunity to do what I love. I was a dancer since a little girl, but I had gone many years without really dancing and being creative. So it reignited my creative spirit and gave me a beautiful place to gather women together to dance and to teach. And so I'm very grateful. Thank you, Temple Emanuel.
Hi, I'm Wendy Wicks. My husband and I have been members of Temple Emanuel here in Sarasota for 8 years now. I'm one of these people who's moved around the country quite a bit, and this is my 9th synagogue. And let me tell you, this is the most Hamish, friendliest synagogue I've ever belonged to. From the beginning, when we came to a Shabbat service to learn about Temple Emanuel, and Merle Winner invited us to come into the Oneg with him and introduced us around to other people. It was wonderful. One of the first people he introduced us to was Gloria Weed, who kind of took me under her wing and encouraged me to get involved in leadership. Within a year of being here, I ended up on the board and stayed on the board for 4 years, including 2 wonderful years as the VP of Education, where I had the pleasure of working with Sabrina and Elaine, who run amazing school programs for our children. This has definitely been a wonderful community to be a part of. And like I said, of the 9 synagogues I've been a member of, this is the best.
Hello, my name is Dr. Eleanor Wachs, and I've been a member of Temple Emanuel for 15 years. I came at the time when Rabbi Glickman just started. And of all the wonderful things that have happened, events and occasions at this temple, I would have to say for me personally was when 3 other women and I stitched the broken Torah. The Torah had been torn from use, from who touched it, how many rabbis touched it, how many children touched it, how many bar mitzvahs or bat mitzvahs were there, how many times was this Torah opened up on a holiday. So we don't really have the history of the Torah, but this Torah here. But we still have the sacredness of the Torah that has kept the Jewish people together for centuries. So there was a call by Rabbi Glickman, who would be willing to fix the torn Torah? My hand went up, and so did 3 other women, Freeney Gold, Marcia Simon, and Judy O'Neill. And we met for several weeks, sewing the torn sections, torn parchment with special thread, special kosher thread that Rabbi Shefrin had given us. And sitting there with the other women and sewing together this sacred document was so meaningful to all of us. And since Reni's passing a few months ago, I often think about her, how much she did for the temple, and what joy we had together sewing this Torah that is now healed.
I'm so happy to celebrate 65 years of Temple Emanuel since the birth of this great institution. And I wanted to tell you a story of I'm already emotional. One of the most special moments in my life that actually happened right there. This congregation welcomed me and my wife Shayna in with the most loving and earnest embrace that we could have imagined or asked for. The welcome and the kindness that was shown upon our arrival in Sarasota, making sure that we felt right at home, was ever present. And when Shayna was pregnant with Jacob, we were so thrilled to welcome him into the covenant of the Jewish people here. He was 8 days old. A committee had been formed. A room had been reserved. The entire temple was abuzz about this baby. The new rabbi and his wife had a baby. And because of our congregation being as special as it is and unique as it is, we were so blessed. We had young moms and dads giving us the best advice and guidance ever. We had bubbies and zadies aplenty looking after us and after our little one. The generosity of spirit was incomparable. And on that 8th day, we stood on that bima right behind me. And we gave him his Hebrew name. And we welcomed him into the covenant of the Jewish people. And then we adjourned to the Benderson Family Social Hall, where hundreds of people cheered and smiled and ate in celebration of our baby boy, of the youngest temple member for just a couple weeks, and another baby was born after that. The walls were lined with baby clothes. There were balloons. Kim Shine-Tal made us baby books of a Mother Goose story starring Shayna and I. This congregation knows no limits in love. And we celebrated that day with such a loving temple family. I couldn't ask for a better welcome into the world for our Jacob. It was fantastic. It was so special. It felt so Jewish and so Hamish and such a mitzvah to bring our community together, to welcome him and celebrate for all of us. I look back on that committee and those who helped host and everybody who was a part of. It was extraordinary. And there was one thing missing. Rabbi Glickman was in Mexico on vacation. He wasn't there. But in a true Shehechianu moment, that was the day that we beta tested our live stream service. And he was able to watch us live from Mexico. So our temple family was complete that day. And we're so grateful to be a part of it. And just on the same way that on that day, the temple wished us such a happy birthday for Jacob. On behalf of Shana and Jacob and Goliath and I, we wish Temple Emanuel happy 65th. Yom Huleret Sameach and Mazel Tov.
Thank you, Rabbi Shefrin, and to everyone who contributed to this evening's program. This has been a special evening, and we hope that one day you will share your story at the next program. I will say that I'm very honored to be part of the history of this congregation. I'm now the longest serving rabbi in our 65 years and proudly take my place among the 9 who preceded me. We look forward to a great future ahead. May God bless us today on this anniversary. May God bless us for years and years to come. Amen. Good night.